Hey, welcome back to our series on the ER4U robot from Intelitek. This exercise is about creating a loop. The loop, or LA, when writing long and repetitive programs, the loop can save you time and coding. Positions can then have numbers or names that are set up by the set variable command. Today we'll use a stack of cubes or cylinders and be able to pull 3 out of the 4 off the stack, and when it gets to finish the third item that it's supposed to move, we'll want to have the robot put itself away. We've done this before, so this should be a review of the loop. And then we'll use the remarks then to show you how to do that. We'll just basically call out the exercise, and we can put our name at the end, and we'll go through the process of printing. So let's go ahead and get started. We want to start new. As we start new, remember that on the factory floor we can roll back and forth with our thumb wheel, and then if I hold the right mouse button down, I can zoom and rotate. So this is something that we should be familiar with by now. All right, the robot is up here in the corner. Pick no slide base, and then put it out on the floor. Underneath that, let's go ahead and put a table. Remember, as I said, we can change the color of the tabletop. Let's choose yellow today. And we can use the item drag. I typically like to put the robot in the back middle of the table so that I have all this real estate out here to be able to move my and operate the exercise today. If you lose this screen, that's okay. Don't panic, because it's right under here under the new object file, and then we can bring it back. All right, our material list is, let's go ahead and grab cylinders today. So we're going to stack 4 of them up, and we're going to unstack these today. So let's start that first one. And when you snap on any object, you can rename it and reposition it. With cylinders, there's no need to actually turn it at any angle, so it makes our programming just a little bit easier. So today we're going to stack all these at 250, negative 250. And now let's put three more on top of that. Now remember, when you're stacking cylinders or cubes, remember we want them to be colored with drastically different colors, because if they're close to that same color, they end up falling in on one another, and we don't want that. Next, let's go get a different color. I'm going to stay away from yellow today because I've got a yellow table. Let's do, how about this brown? Put that on top. 250, negative 250. And remember, you have to stack them right away. Otherwise, once you stick them on the table, they can't get stacked on top of one another. They actually have to be done as you place them on the table, then, so that they have that different look to them. So we could use this light blue now. And 250, negative 250. Okay. So that's all we need. once we get over to the program, we can take a look at that and add it. We'll import it. So the next thing to do then is to save it as, and my recommendation is always save it to the desktop, because then it's a little easier to retrieve. And we'll call this out as robot number 10 in our series. And then we'll go ahead and open up RoboCell. Alright, so let's jump into RoboCell. Remember that when we open it new, a couple things we have to do right off the bat. And that is, remember to switch it over to Pro, because we are professionals, and that gives us the ability to do a lot of different things with this that we can't do in the L1 category. Next, let's go ahead and expand, and let's create our home position right away. Home number 99. 1300330 -90 and roll 0 teach. Okay, let's bring that robot in. So we want to bring in the 3D model, and since it's saved on the desktop, it's real easy to bring it in. So there it was. There's what we've created up to this point. Oh, darn. Where'd it go? There we go. I don't know why that disappeared on me. Use the hand. Want to get close up here. So there it is. So if we put our position number 99 in here, and then open the grip, put the blue line at the top, do this just like we've done before, then run the single cycle so that we can get the two commands to work. There we go to our home position, and booyah. The claw opens. There you have it. So now we can go ahead and start our programming. So in the handout that I have, we want to right away now create some of these variables. And one of the easiest ones, now I don't have it on the worksheet, but remember that when we're setting these variables, we can create names for these. So let me move this to this over here so that I don't lose it as I open this program up. So SV is where I want to create some variables. So let's do one of them, and let's call this one home. This is pretty common, home, and we'll call it position 99. Next, we have to create, we're going to call pick, which would mean then that we're going to go ahead and grab the cube, and our position number 1 is going to be right there at the first cube. So let's go ahead then and pick, and let's make it position number 1, because our cubes are going to be position 1, 2, 3, and 4 starting from the top. So starting with that black, light blue one, turquoise would be position 1, 2, 3, 4. So then let's do our drop position, and the drop then will be 10, 11, and 12. So the first drop position we want to start with. Now drop means that we're going to set it on the table. We're going to create that as position number 10. So those would be the things then that when the robot immediately starts up from the home position, it would start out by giving you the home position, or which would be 99, grip, open the grip, and then it sets these values, and then we'd be ready to run the program. So as we have done before, Since this is where we want the program to jump to every time, we know then that this should be where our loop label is. So a label is LA, and we're going to call this loop. So this is where we want the program to jump back to. So later on then, way down on the end of the program, then we're going to give you the word jump to loop as we create this for our positions. Now, let's go ahead now and let's record some positions, because we have positions 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to go position, we're going to skip a few so that we don't interfere with our adding and subtracting when we go through these things. We're going to do a position 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're going to skip 6 and 7, actually 5, 6, and 7, just so that we don't get a robot then that's trying to place cubes in a position that we really don't have any place for it to go. So let me just start with position number 1. Okay, according to my worksheet, position number 1 is 250, negative 250, and since the first one on the stack of 4, remember that if I continue to add 17.5, and if I get that to the 4th position, that's the number of 137. Position 2 is the next cube down. The only thing I have to change then is minus 14.5 away from that one, which gives me 17.5 or 97.5. Let's now go to position 3. And now it is 57.5. Teach. Make sure we're hitting that teach button every time. Let me just make sure that I did that. Yep, that's right. Okay, so let me go back, and number 3 then. Position number 3 should be the 57. Yeah, okay, good. Position 2 would be 97, and then position 1. All right, we're all good. Okay, let's go down to position number 4 as I think we're at. So we need to change this, and position 4 is at the table. We don't necessarily need this one because we're not going to move it. But maybe, at some point, maybe we can figure out what to do with it. But position 4, or that last cube that's at the table, which looks like the red one, we're not going to move that one at all. So we're going to just leave that on the table, and then we're going to move the top 3. Okay, so we're going to use a position 8, which is way above the stack, and position 8 will be our 300. So that'll be way, way up at the top. Now let's create a position 9. Create a position 9, which will be a new position to take all these cubes, and we'll call it 350, 0, and the height of that will be the 300. Teach, and now we're going to look at position 10, 11, 12, which are going to be on the table. Now remember that position 10 we call drop. So position 10 is going to be 250, negative 100. And since it's at the table, 17.5. We don't need to change the pitch or the roll. Teach that. Position 11 is 400, 0. 17.5. and position 12, 350, whoop, 350, 80. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I got these random, but it really doesn't make any difference where we're putting these things. Okay, so there you have it. So now from the diagram, you're going to know that we're going to put out here. We're going to put the three top cubes: turquoise, the brown, and the blue. Turquoise, brown, and the blue. We're going to set them down here one at a time. And each time we're going to go back to our position 8, and then that is where we'll actually make the decision on our creation of the loop, so that when it gets to that position, it's going to think about what it needs to do and then go from there. All right, so let's start adding to the program. We have all of these positions are all set. So let's go ahead and number 8 is over the stack. So we have our gripper open. So let's put number 8 on the list. And we want to move it over to number 8. So let's drive it over there with that single line. Not single cycle, but single line. Okay, and now we want to set it to the pick position, in which we've called out number 1. So let's call it out as pick, because we've already made that decision for the robot, and we've asked it to set that variable as pick equals number 1, so we wanted to go to pick. And let's see if it really indeed does that. Oops. I didn't. Okay. Can't do that yet because I actually haven't run that program from that position. So here, what I'm going to do is this is going to run it. Cycle. Okay, so now I got it. All right, so now I got the pick position. Now let's close the grip. And then let's put it back to number 8. Number 8 is where I want to go with it. Let's run it to number 8. Single line. Remember that the movement of the robot, single line, single cycle, and then continuous can be picked off the toolbar. Also under the run menu, you have the single line, single cycle, and continuous, or you can hit the F keys, 6, 7, and 8. Then there's our stop button in case we want to stop quickly. You can either hit the stop button here off the run menu or hit F9, or there's a big picture of the stop button over here. So those are the 3 ways that you can actually get the robot to run. Have been going through that every exercise that we talk about. So now we want to get over here to position 9. Position 9 is a position up over the table. And let's run that. So clickety click. Go put it over there for me. And then we want our first drop position. So let's add drop, and since we've already called drop out as position 10, should set it up on the table. Let's run that single line, and voila, there it goes. Bingo. Let's open the grip. Make that happen, and now let's send it back to position number 9. And then that will come back to the center. Now, I guess we can use this one. Right here now we should update our go ahead and run our, create our mathematical formula right now. And adding, in our pick situation, we're going to add 1. In our drop situation, we're going to add 1. So let's go ahead and do that. And then at the end of that run, sitting right here, then we can actually have it make the decision. Rather than jumping over there and getting, one more position, let's just leave it right here and let's just call out our formulas. So what do we want to do? Okay, so our set variable. So with pick, we have position 1, 2, 3, 4, which would actually move down the stack. So we want pick to be set as pick +1. So there's pick +1. We want our drop now to be drop +1 because we want it now to go to position 11. So drop +1. Okay, so here now pick +1 would be 2. Drop +1, well, this would be 10 + 1, that would be 11. But we want now to make sure that our pick doesn't exceed number 3. So we got to run a formula so that this is here's our if jump. So if pick is greater than 3, so which one is the greater one? I think that is greater than 3. We want it to jump to the end. So right now it's 1. So 1 is not greater than 3. Gets to the second round. Is 2 greater than 3? That's false, so it gets to the third round. Is 3 greater than 3? No. So it gets to the fourth round, and then rather than coming down and grabbing that fourth cube, what it's going to see then is that, is 4 greater than 3? Yup. So then we want it to jump to the end, and then we'll put that position out here. But if this is false, we still got to get it to jump up to the top and jump in here to our loop so it can go back and grab the next cube down and the next cube down and the next cube down. So we want to, where's our jump to, there it is, our jump to loop. So that when that command is false, we want it to jump back to the top. But if that command is true, then we want it to jump to the end. And what do we want at the end? We want it to go home and close your grip. So that's all there is to it. We could have 69 cubes set up here, and maybe we do that someday. But we can control it all only using 21 lines of code. Here, remark command. You can put your name. Remember that using remarks does not cause the robot any difference in its programming. Put that there, maybe at the top. We call this out as, let's see, once, robot 10, loops and remarks. So there you go. remember that it doesn't read this, and it won't read my name. So that's it. So let's take it from that number 9 position. Let's move this over. And that should get it. So let's run now. Remember that we don't need to run a continuous, because we've created our loops. It will run continuously by itself until this statement here on line 18 is true. So if pick then becomes greater than 3, then we want it to jump to the end and then put itself away. So it will, from number 9, once it gets through all of this, jump back to the top. It'll come over here to position 8, and then we should be able to see it run from the top from here. So let's run this then as a run cycle so it gets through it, and sure enough it did do that. So let's see what's happened. Sometimes she runs a little screwy when you run it from the middle like this, just to make sure that it... So there's that center up position. Now it should move to position 11, which was 400, 0. Yeah, that's good. Okay, go back to 9. Let's make some decisions. Bink. So position 3 is not greater than 3. So now it's got the new drop, which would be position 12, which is 350, 80. So there it's on the table now, runs through, and it should say, whoop, 4 is greater than 3. And how was my end not defined? Define label end. Okay, so jump to end. Oops, you know what I forgot to do? I didn't tell it to put an end out there. So I got to set that label. I created the jump to, but you'll see there's no word, there's no label that says end. So let's do that then, and let's put that right here. So it jumps to the end, create the label, end, and now it has a chance to jump to it. That'd be my fault. And there you have it. So it's a good idea to run your program for me before you shut it down. That way I know that your program is written correctly and that you've actually had it working for you. Sometimes children have a tendency not to participate and then just print somebody else's program and write their name on it without me actually watching how it works. So let's put this up to the top. I'm going to reset our robo cell here, cell setup. Let me move her around so that you can see what's going on. Let's zoom in a little bit. So there you have it. So let's take it from the top, put it right up to the top, and have everything get reset itself, and it will. By running through the set variable, it'll put it back to position 99 where we want it. We've already got 99 here. So then we'll create the home, pick, we'll go back to 1, drop will go back to 10, and then we should be able to run it continuously then until this statement here on line number 18 becomes true, where it'll end up as position 4, and position 4 is greater than 3, and position 4 is that red cylinder out there. That's the one way at the bottom. So that guy right there is our position 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and we don't want it to pick that up. So that's what we've set. So let's go ahead and run it from the top. Again, we're not running continuously. We've created the loop to be able to pick itself, so we don't really need to do that. Let's run that single cycle, and let's see what happens. Back to number 9, makes its decisions. So 3 is not greater than 3, so it's going to go grab the blue one, set that one out there. Alright, so now it should say, whoop, I'm going to 4. No, 4 is greater than 3. Jumps to the end, and it puts itself away. Close grip. Ah, there it is. Got her done. Get her done. So that's robot number 10. Loops and remarks. Alright, so stay tuned for more of our series with the Intelitek robot. The ER4U robot.